Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aki Shemo, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure of being your compere for this occasion. I'd like to welcome you to the 2023 Fellows Night and Investiture of the Chartered Institute of Directors. Do allow me to take some introductions, and we will not be doing this in one fell swoop. We'll be taking introductions as we go. But allow me to recognize the Chartered Institute of Directors office bearers. And I'd like to start with the President and Chairman of Council, Alhaji Tijani Boro. Please, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors. Thank you, sir. Next to be recognized is the guest speaker for today. He's the Managing Director, Remitter Payment Services Limited, Mr. Deremi Atonda. We have amongst us the first Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Mr. Oyetunji Adebanji, a fellow, Chartered Institute of Directors, CIoD. I think he deserves a very round of applause for this. All right, I do like to move on to the second Vice President, Mrs. Amina Oyagola, FIOD. The first Vice President is Mr. Tunji Adebanji. Mr. Tunji Oyebanji, FIOD, First Vice President. The Honorary Treasurer is also here with us, and she is Mrs. Fumi Oyetunji, FIOD. I'd like to recognize the Honorary Legal Advisor, Mr. Adeyinka Hassan, FIOD. And also recognize Dr. Mrs. E.J. Chidema, a distinguished fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors and also immediate past president. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, tonight we will have our Fellows Night and Investiture, and from what I can gather, there's so many people, there are few people here who are not members and they've been asking questions. So I'd like to inform you that there are membership forms here for those who may be interested. But as we go along, you will see reason to join. Without further ado, do allow me to invite the Chairman, Fellows and Awards Committee of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, who is a distinguished fellow, Architect Thomas C. Awadu, to please give his welcome address. Can I get a round of applause for him? I think if we keep clapping, we encourage you to get it. Architect, don't really rush.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm President and Chairman of the Governing Council of Architects and Architects Banquet. Members of the Governing Council of the Design Institute of Directors. Past leaders and elders of the Design Institute of Directors. Members of the CIoD Nigeria. Our distinguished guest speaker is Managing Director of the Investiture System. Distinguished fellows and members of CIoD Nigeria. Distinguished business leaders and experts. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. We usually have this ceremony once a year. This was to happen last month. It is my almost pleasure to extend a warm to each of you as we gather here and express sincere gratitude to all of you taking the time to join us for this extraordinary outstanding individuals who represent the very essence of our institute. It is an occasion to honor our distinguished members and remarkable individuals, whether they are part of our membership or not, who have exemplified the core values of our institute, including their professional and personal lives. They have not only upheld the principles of our institute with unwavering integrity and honor, but have also made substantial contributions of Nigeria. So, I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the dedicated members of the Fellows and Awards Committee for their tireless efforts and unwavering dedication and unyielding commitment. It is essential to recognize that without your invaluable support and exceptional dedication, we will not be gathered here today for this momentous event. I want to ask the members of the committee to please stand up for recognition. For those of them who are here. Thank you very much. Your momentum reviews, invaluable guidance, and insightful suggestions have played a pivotal role in ensuring the success of today's Fellows University. Furthermore, on behalf of the Fellows and Awards Committee, I extend my deep gratitude to Alhaji Tijani, the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, along with the esteemed members of the Governing Council and the dedicated management and staff of the Secretariat. Your steadfast support throughout our duties has been instrumental in the realization of today's event. I will please keep the President and Council and other members. Ladies and gentlemen, today We take immense pride in presenting these distinguished individuals who are being recognized and honored through their induction into the esteemed ranks of fellows. We encourage them to continue their exemplary work, serving as guiding lights for our fellows, for our fellow members, and the broader Nigerian corporate community. I extend my warm congratulations to our new fellows and urge them to remain steadfast in upholding the ethical standards and commitments of our institute as they contribute to the growth and development of our esteemed institute and our nation as a whole. At this juncture, I would want to acknowledge I want to acknowledge and extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Jeremy Atonda, the Managing Director of Remita Payment Systems Limited. The company focused on providing payment and solutions for retail SME, corporate and governments, and tech ecosystem. And from where we derive dynamic strategy, business development, business branding, and idea
creation. I think he deserves a round of applause, gentlemen. Thank you. I extend my gratitude to you for graciously accepting our invitation to be our guest speaker, and I eagerly anticipate an enlightening and rewarding session with you. Distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Fellows and Awards Committee, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to this remarkable event and to wish us all a profoundly enlightening and enriching experience. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Architect Awago. At this point, I'd like to recognize some past members of the Governing Council. They are, in their own right, distinguished fellows. And I'd like to start by recognizing the past president, Mr. Chike Nwanze, DFIOD. Thank you, sir. Also present is another past president, a distinguished fellow, Chief Chris O. Okunowo, DFIOD. It is now time to hear from the chief host. Is the president and chairman of Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors. With a resounding round of applause, please welcome to the lectern Alhaji Tijani M. Borodo, LLM FIOD. Keep clapping, please. Keep clapping, please. And I would like to apologize to him that I did not add Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Thank you. I don't know the excellency you're talking about. Our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Jeremy Atanda, Managing Director, Remita Payment Services Limited, members of the Governing Council here present, members of the Executive Committee of the Chartered Institute of Directors, fellows and members of the Institute here present, our distinguished fellowship honorees, distinguished guests, associates and sponsors, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure and utmost delight I join the chairman and members of the Fellows and Awards Committee to welcome you to this grand occasion of the 2023 edition of our Fellows Investiture. I am pleased to note that our Committee on Fellows and Awards has been able to bear the torch blazing with glittering illumination, age-long tradition by hosting this 2023 edition of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria Fellows Investiture today. This is the first for me as the 18th president of our great institute. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the annual event is part of the Institute customs and traditions during which we recognize and honor our members for their unrelenting commitment and valuable contributions to the growth and development of our institute and the country in general. It is at these instances that the institute confers fellowship status upon deserving members who have distinguished themselves in their service to the institute in various capacities while making significant contributions to their respective companies and the Nigerian business community as a whole. The Fellows and Awards Committee, chaired by a distinguished fellows and past president of the Institute, Architect Thomas Awagu, DFIOD, has worked tirelessly to produce what we are witnessing today. It is my pleasure to place on record the appreciation of the Governing Council towards the chairman and members of the Fellows and Awards Committee on this occasion. I thank them for their commitment and hard work which has led to today's event. Can we clap for them, please? Despite the heartfelt congratulations and joy I feel for the new fellows at this groundbreaking and groundless event, a moment in your professional career, I will not fail to remind you of the candor, honor, respect, demand, and most importantly, challenges and expectations that come with this highly sought after and esteemed status you hold today within your institute. In spite of this, I am certain that with your individual antecedents and track records of excellent performance, you will not let the institute down in your daily conduct in the corporate world and personal lives. I extend my heartfelt congratulations and extend a warm welcome as you join the prestigious and top-tier membership category of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. That's the fellowship. We're all aware of the fact that the corporate space is becoming more difficult to navigate due to today's peculiarities and challenges. Therefore, I urge you to remain focused and steadfast in your pursuit of issues that will help the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria grow and develop positively. While we look forward to your suggestions and input in this regard, the Institute management and Governing Council will continue to demonstrate greater influence on government and corporate initiatives. As you may be aware, our strategic position in the Nigerian business environment comes with a lot of expectations and challenges, and we're positive that with God on our side, this administration is poised to see the Chartered Institute of Directors walks its own talks. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, As a result of the Institute charter status, there have been emerging dynamics regarding the Institute membership status. This informed our agenda for the next 2 years. Permit me to remind you in brevity. We'll advocate for the policies and practices that will promote growth and innovation centered on 3 points, which I call the 3 R's. It is no gainsaying that the role of fellows of the Institute in the propagation of our vision is unquantifiable. And unless you all, as leaders, exhibit the collective will required for the progress of the Institute and these goals, it will be difficult to galvanize the support from other members. I therefore expect that champion and lead the way in our advocacy train by being the ambassadors of the Institute at all your professional endeavors. I urge you to proudly wear the insignia of your membership status, the golden lapel pin of the Institute with the honor and dignity it requires at all times and to all places so that others can see you as representative of our great Institute. I therefore implore both existing and new fellows in the flame of this Institute brightly burning with consciousness that will look up to you practitioners as guest speakers. As we grapple with the current era of connectivity, advanced analytics, automation, and advanced manufacturing technology that has been transforming global businesses in the fourth industrial revolution, the fifth beckons on us with the concept of sustainability, concern for environment, in addition to the transformation of the industrial structure through the utilization of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and big data for purpose-driven innovations and inclusivity. This has shaped our world and how we do business today. Today, we are privileged to have in our midst Mr. Deremi Atanda, the Managing Director of Remitter Payment Services Limited. Deremi is a business leader with over 25 years of hands-on experience in the tech industry. He's one of the brains behind the automation of the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, IPPIS, and famed Treasury Single Account, TSA. We are indeed excited to have him here to speak to us on the theme, leveraging technology for improved governance in the 21st century. That's the topic for today. Mr. Atanda, the Honorable Minister of the FCT has said he has just gotten authorization from the President to remove the FCT from TSA. I don't know what that does to us. Maybe he might talk to us about that apart from your lecture. It's one of the things that has happened in this country. I hope it's for the good. On behalf of the Governing Council, fellows and members of our institute and our guests at this event, I am pleased to welcome our guest, Mr. Deremi Atanda, to this occasion with his lovely wife. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll agree with me that technology has revolutionized the way we live and do business. The transformative power of technology in governance is no exception. The power of technology, if harnessed, can enhance governance and improve transparency, accountability, stakeholder engagement, administrative efficiency, and automate processes. It is in the light of this we have deemed it necessary to consider this theme at this event. It is also important to note that the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria has demonstrated greater concern and commitment, those working with all stakeholders, to create a business-friendly environment for robust economic growth. As part of our ongoing efforts to promote good corporate governance for both the public and private sector of the country, we are committed to working with all businesses and thought leaders. While I felicitate with our new fellows today, I urge all our members, both old and new, to continue to uphold good corporate governance practices and principles, and be guided by the ethics code of the Institute at all levels in their workplaces and their business dealings. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me in expressing my heartfelt appreciation to all past, present of our great institute and all members of the Governing Council and Executive Committee for their unrelenting efforts. Moreover, I would like to acknowledge the Chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee, Architect Thomas C. Awagu, the CIoD, and his members, as well as the Secretariat staff and management for organizing this exemplary event. I want to thank you once more and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
I believe His Excellency deserves a better round of applause, please. He has reliably informed me that he does not like to use the title His Excellency when we are in this kind of gathering. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of CIoD here present, I would like to mention to you all that if you would like some more information about the Chartered Institute of Directors, please visit www.ciodnigeria.org. You'll be able to find out about membership and benefits of being a member of the Chartered Institute of Directors. For example, the core values of this association will be very, very well explained. For those who do not know, it can be summed up in one word, and that word is impact. Members, are you here, please? I is for integrity, M, meritocracy, P, professionalism, A, accountability and probity, while C is customer-centric and T is teamwork. Can I get a round of applause for CIoD in the house, please? Thank you very much. I'd like to move on now to the paper presentation by the guest speaker. When the president was talking about him, I was beginning to wonder if we will not spend the whole evening here were he to delve into his but he spared us. The company that he's managing director of is Remitter Payment Services Limited. It's an African-based company focused on providing payment rails and solutions for the retail, SME, corporate, governments, and fintech ecosystem. In other words, they make money from everyone. He's shaking his head for me. Please make welcome the Managing Director, Remitter Payment Services Limited, our guest speaker today, Mr. Deremi Atonda.
Wow, thank you very much. I don't know how to express the feelings being here this evening with this distinguished audience, but I'll try, especially listening to the chairman of the awards committee, of the Investiture committee, the president and chairman of council, and the distinguished professionals in the all this evening, many of whom I'm familiar with, and are distinguished professionals in their rights. I'm wondering what there is to talk about, so I'll try to make it easy and not talk technology, and we're just going to start a conversation. But the conversation will all the same be around the subject matter. So I want to acknowledge the president and chairman of council. I want to acknowledge the immediate past president, all past presidents here this evening, other members of the governing council, distinguished fellows present this evening, members of the Chartered Institute of Directors, the Director General and CEO and his team, particularly the chairman of Remitter Payment Services Limited, Mrs. Ifeoma Idigbe, who's acting out part of our own governance roles by making sure I'm here. Distinguished media practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the incoming fellows that have provided a platform for this conversation this evening. I'll try as much as possible not to go into areas I'm not familiar with, even though the president teased about a political issue I'm not aware of, and it's not part of the subject of this evening's discourse. I do not know if, by any chance, the presentation slides are anywhere that can be referenced. If they're not, I'll just deal with the notes that I have here, which is to take us into the subject matter of this evening. Leveraging technology for improved governance in the 21st century. That's such a broad subject matter. You want us to talk about 100 years in 10 minutes. 21st century, right from 2001 to January 1, 2001 to December 31, 2100. And you want us to talk about leveraging technology over 100 years. And I was thinking about it and said that's such a huge space of time to talk about anything, 100 years. I'm not convinced anyone in this room will be around by then. If you're going to be around by then, we'll be watching you from some other places. But there must be a reason why that's subject of discourse. And I think what happened within the space of governance. What happened? And so there must be a reason why this is coming to the fore at this time. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Chartered Institute of Directors exists, to be at the forefront of the issues of corporate governance. And it may just surprise you to know that the totality or the aggregation of the impact of corporate governance failures over the past century may not be comparable to what has happened in global corporate failures in the last 20 years of this century. So it means it's a major issue that should bother anyone, and that makes it apt to continue to discuss that. That is the reason why we exist. And I took careful notice of the word improved. Because it's not just about corporate governance, it has become something we're committed to, but it is improved. That means it's a progressive evolution along the spectrum of human evolution itself. So we're not stuck with the standards we've always had, because the environment continues to change. And one of the fastest levers for advancing the social environment of business is technology itself. So if technology itself is one of the reasons why things are moving ahead significantly, it therefore becomes very clear that technology must be part of the solution, including the issues of corporate governance. And on the screen, if you can see, it says, what are some of the reasons for corporate governance failure? And there are about 6 things there on the screen, if you can see it. And we can touch on each one of them differently. Unethical leadership, corruption, unqualified board members, inefficient internal audit, fraud, and weak board of directors. So I'm not here this evening to postulate that technology is the only way out. It's just one of the levers. And I think that was very clear in determining the topic of this evening, that just is leveraging technology, and that suggests there will be other levers. And that's why I said we'll just try to keep it within technology. So as an institute, we're making deliberate attempts to keep the failure of corporate governance at a minimum level. And that's our eternal commitment. At the end of the day, we're going to be living here with clear objectives as members, as fellows, and as representatives of different forms of influence in the society. And if you just consider the next slide, about which I will say nothing, that may just stimulate some other thoughts why this is of interest. And I promise not to say anything about this next slide. No, can you go back to the slide before this? This is a recent development. And there have been many comments everywhere, but none from me. So you got a picture on the screen. Okay, there's just one screen that shows a fine gentleman who has just been announced as the chairman of a federal government agency that is responsible for handling fundamental issues. And it's just been it's less than 25 years. So what about it? And that's one of the reasons we're here. That's one of the issues that this chartered body needs to commit itself to. A proactiveness to ensure that the framework for dealing with the issues of improved corporate governance continues to be upheld. And so we are beyond just a body of limited concerns. We want to be, especially on account of the recent status of becoming chartered, take full responsibility for being at the forefront of advancing the cause of improved corporate governance. Corporate governance, to remind ourselves quickly, is the structure through which an organization is directed, controlled, and held accountable. And I'm going to stick within that framework. So this is at the crux of the matter. We want to improve the structure through which an organization is directed, controlled, and held accountable. And this has implications for us as directors. And looking at the different categories of membership or commitment to this institution, we can see that there are responsibilities at different layers. And I want to commend also the initiative to identify a special category called Young Directors, which is part of the evolution. And I also want to put on record the 3 areas I've identified where CIoD is promoting corporate governance. That's encouragement of corporate governance at the public level, private sector, and SMEs. The promotion of diversity and inclusion, like I mentioned, through the Young Directors Forum, women directors development, and to foster collaboration between the public and private sectors. And there are a number of recommendations that I'll speak to as we progress. And I just want to stimulate our minds as we think about these things and as we are committed to improving corporate governance across board. What do you remember in the last 20 years about corporate governance? In the last 20 years, what comes to mind about corporate governance? Many times we're tempted to think about what happens on the international scene. But in the local scene, on the African scene, is there anything that comes to mind about the issues of corporate governance, either the advancement thereof or the failures thereof? We're so often sucked in by the consequences that we fail to interrogate them, and we become victims of the cyclical repetition of these issues. And that's why this evening we're going to stimulate our minds to talk about them. If you can't remember anything, or if you're tempted to limit the discourse to just the corporate environment, something is knocking, and that is the emergence of coups on the African continent. Coups are not in themselves the satisfaction of ambition of military leaders. It is a reaction to governance, and it's a reaction to the breakdown of corporate governance. And it's just symptomatic of what happens at the public sector, which is a proxy of what happens within the private sector. And when we talk about institutions and the role of government, we are tempted to think the dichotomy is that if the corporate sector works well, then government is left out of it. Or if the government side works well, the public sector, the corporate is left out of it. But it is very clear that the failure in one will always mean a failure of both. And those are the things that we need to continue to deal with. And to hold ourselves accountable as an institute for being at the forefront of managing this. And like I said, if you can't remember what has happened within the last 20 years, you probably remember, if some names are mentioned on the global scene, you remember Lehman Brothers. Is there anyone who remember? Have you heard that before? Lehman Brothers. What about WorldCom? Toshiba, Volkswagen, Credit Suisse, Theranos. We were to ask ourselves in our immediate environment, we're probably shy of pointing fingers inwards. And if we do not learn from the things around us, we are consigned to repeat the mistakes without necessarily taking the lessons thereof. What are the trends we see? There are 5 major trends about corporate governance. 5 major trends about corporate governance from within 2023 and beyond. And top on the list is the move online, embracing technology and digital transformation. For corporate governance to continue to serve its purpose, for us to continue to be relevant as gatekeepers and those who are committed to the issues of corporate governance, we need to know it's a new day. And top on the list is embracing technology and digital transformation across board. The second trend that's going to affect improved corporate governance is greater focus on the environment, on social issues, and on governance itself. The third is board diversity, equity, and inclusion. The fourth, increased stakeholder engagement. And the fifth on that list is the demand for board effectiveness. And we're going to be seeing some examples of this when we talk about demand for board effectiveness. And across board, there's a common thread. The common thread across these 5 leading trends is technology, and that is going to be used here. The adoption of technology in addressing this will be around communication and collaboration. Communication and collaboration. And that's going to be about interaction between the gatekeepers of corporate governance. It's going to be about documentation and record of transactions. It's going to be about efficiency and agility. That's the capture of data, the recording of data, and the protection of data. It's going to be about cybersecurity. It's going to be about transparency and accountability that talks about analytics, the information that we have at our fingertips, and how those are analyzed for us to take effective decisions. And how this is presented to stakeholders, which is reporting. All of these put together, I want to narrow this evening's discourse to just 4 areas where we're going to be talking about leveraging technology for improved governance. And I'm going to make it about the Chartered Institute of Directors, its members, existing fellows, and newly inducted fellows. I'm putting it towards that we have a responsibility to make this happen. And so those 4 areas will be leveraging technology for improved governance in terms of awareness. Leveraging technology for improved governance in terms of empowerment. Leveraging technology for improved governance in terms of compliance. And leveraging technology for improved governance in terms of support. And if these are the only things we're going to talk about this evening, I'll be fulfilled. Leveraging technology for improved governance through awareness is a major pillar of CIoD, which talks about awareness and advocacy. And one of the things I did in preparing for this conversation this evening, which I just imagine will be the beginning of many other conversations around this, was to try to find out the footprint of CIoD or its members in the digital space. And it is clear that is one area where technology needs to be adopted for people to understand the imperative of governance itself as a subject matter and its importance for the protection of society. Leveraging technology for awareness requires the effective use of the tools of technology to make every stakeholder aware of what corporate governance actually means. It is a responsibility we've taken upon ourselves that may not be too far from what MAMSA was. MAMSA was a government-sponsored social orientation program that had many dimensions. And to the credit of the government of the day, many of us got to know, that was our first introduction to Professor Jerry Garner, who is still with us in this climb. And the tools that were leveraged then were the traditional tools of communication, radio and television. But today, many more people are leveraging technology for awareness across every strata. And while I was thinking about it, it seems to me that many times we wait for people to be appointed directors before we want to equip them to play that role. And this therefore suggests that now with empowerment we have becoming chartered by an act, we have responsibility for involvement in curriculum development that promotes corporate governance right from the primary level, the secondary level, the tertiary level, and post-tertiary level. So there is a platform for advocacy to ensure that the issues of corporate governance are not left too late in the day when people are not able to relate with them. You cannot give what you do not have. When Nigerians step out anywhere in the world, we are known for our audacity. We are known for our never die spirit. It is time for us to be known as people who are committed to the highest standards of corporate governance. And one way to do that is to make it a way of life right from infancy. And even though we say we are the Chartered Institute of Directors, we are not going to wait till it is too late in the day to take on that responsibility. How do we then leverage technology for awareness? While we're talking about curriculum development, we're thinking of the engagement that makes it possible to fit into the core of the studies. While that is going on, and it is plausible, we can actually create an alternative curriculum platform that is 100% technology leveraged. It therefore means we provide technology that presents the curriculum for governance and all issues associated with it that meet the stakeholders wherever they are. And this can definitely have its own rewards embedded by what we know. It will interest you to know that the way technology has become so immersive is that a number of people play games today, and you just meet these games everywhere, on your phones, on your laptop. And one example that comes to mind, I don't know for this generation, if you were introduced to the computer in the 80s, does anyone remember anything called solitaire? What was solitaire? Just the normal cards were playing, and it's now played on the computer. Back then, it was one of the most common games, and it will amaze you the number of people who interact with that daily. And you know what started happening? Before now, you couldn't play cards with yourself. You needed a second person. Now everybody started playing cards with a computer. And that was just technology informing a change of life. So what happened to the people who were producing paper cards? Those games. You remember them? So we can design and leverage technology to deliver the core and essentials of corporate governance to every stakeholder, like I said, right from infancy to the most advanced. This is a conversation I'll be happy to be part of with the leaders of the Institute, because this can be easily gamified. It therefore means people can be acknowledged for the credits and the learnings they've earned leveraging technology, and these can then become certifications that can be presented at different layers of engagement. If it's not going to change anything, it's going to at least ensure that they've been exposed to those things than nothing. Has it surprised you today that on LinkedIn you can now get certifications? That wasn't what it was set up for. It was set up to encourage business engagement outside of the traditional social media engagements. But today that has metamorphosed because it has been realized that that platform is quite viable and veritable to achieve some other things. And that is one of the things I believe we must commit to in leveraging technology for awareness of corporate governance at all levels. We're creating our own curriculum, and we're using technology to saturate everywhere. That the average Nigerian at whatever level is exposed to the core of what corporate governance means, is committed to those values, and can be seen to be certified. And that becomes an entry point. That's social transformation, leveraging technology on account of governance. And there are many dimensions where that can play out in our national life. But I'm talking specifically here today about governance. A number of people are also trying to do this, talking about our national history and using technology to make that happen. But talking about governance, we're saying who has responsibility? Typically, you think about civics, social studies, which are the regular educational curriculum, but we can take an alternative approach, being the custodians of the curriculum and leveraging technology to make it everywhere. The second area will be leveraging technology for improved corporate governance in terms of empowerment. In terms of empowerment, and this rests on the first point. When people become aware How do we prepare them for the workplace? How do we prepare them to be equipped? And the first thing that also came across my mind while I was preparing this was to try to find out if anybody was owning the standards of corporate governance in Nigeria today, and where you will go to find what the standards of corporate governance is. And I couldn't find any. So if a manager were to be recruited today in the workplace, where is the starting point for the issues around corporate governance? And it seems to be that traditionally it's been left to each organization to determine those standards. And these things are embedded and buried in staff handbooks, which may or may not be reviewed. But it is time to take the upper hand and take responsibility for setting the standards. And I'm assuming again that we're committed to operating the real meaning of the chartered status we've recently acquired. And that it is not another attempt to glorify a 40-year-old organization, but that we're taking it as a deliberate challenge to change the face of corporate governance in Nigeria. Many times we're told that there are the unintended consequences of introduction of technology, and I'm a witness, at least on the national scene, about 4 times. When I was the lead for implementing IPs, the World Bank project in 2006, a World Bank project. And nobody believed a Nigerian company could have won that. It was my first exposure that there was another organization called the WBI, World Bank Integrity Group. It's a parallel organization to the World Bank, and it's just a police organization. That's what it is. They get the best of policemen from around the world, and they staff that organization, and they keep an eye on the World Bank itself. And after having won this project in 2006, a Nigerian company, and it was an international bid, we stumbled upon it in The Economist. There were petitions that were written that there was no way a Nigerian government could have won this bid. It must have bribed. And this was 2 years into the project. And the WBI came visiting to Nigeria. And now we're about a 32-year-old company, so you can think about 17 years ago. It was a rocky. So when I speak about the issues of corporate governance, there are things you learn along the way. We never saw that coming. You are to provide every single bit of transaction the business had conducted from day one. Nobody prepared us for that. It just happens to be one of the things we're choosing to live by as an organization. After that experience, nobody had to preach to us to set up a proper board. And that was when Dr. Christopher Kolade became our chairman. And there was quite a lot to learn. And so when I acknowledge Mrs. Ifoma Edigbe here this evening as our chairman, you know what that means. There's that strict look down. And coming back to talk about the empowerment, is just that where is a platform for a first-time manager to be exposed to the issues of corporate governance beyond what the organization has defined? And it is when you run into crisis moment, you know there are other standards beyond what your organization has prescribed. And thankfully in this room today, we've got giants who have run multinationals. We've got people who have been at the head of public and private sector organizations, and I'm asking, where are the standards documented that have helped you in your career that young managers can latch onto to get their careers off the ground? And so for empowerment, we need to commit to making technology available that provides content across all the areas of corporate governance that anyone can go to be so empowered. Most times we think about these things and it looks so difficult to achieve because we're thinking, where will the money come from? Are we going to build these kind of platforms? And you just may want to check, there are many of them around that just started about putting together content and making them available for free to start with, and they think about monetizing them. Just imagine the quantum of knowledge in this room that can be digitized and made available for free, and the impact in terms of improving corporate governance. And that is something technology can allow us to do. very easily. It becomes a compendium of capacity development and training that if we make available, then the issue of improved governance will have been tackling it at a level beyond our wildest imaginations. And I have thoughts on how that can even be monetized. And that makes it a win-win for everybody. You can get different organizations to sponsor just one course. And that's just what it is. It doesn't have to be cash. But we are targeting the very root of the issue that makes us an organization, an institution. And we are seen to be committed to making this happen. I know it's not an evening for long speeches. That's why I say this is to start a conversation about our commitment to improve corporate governance, and we've limited to technology this evening, but there'll be many more conversations that we all need to choose to be part of. Leveraging technology for improved corporate governance within the realm of compliance is the next thing I want to talk about these 4 areas. And when we think about compliance, it's actually evaluating and helping to assess if we're meeting the standards to which we have committed ourselves to. And I was also looking around, commending that the Institute has opened a register of directors, and I was trying to find out if there was anything that could speak to compliance rating of directors in Nigeria. Thankfully, we know what the newcomer speaks about and the responsibility the directors need to assume. But we're not limiting this to just that frame. It is anybody who has responsibility for directing or coordinating affairs of any business. And within this context, I am not planning to leave out public sector organizations. I think there must be an approach where improved governance on the platform of the CIoD is extended to public sector organizations, and that can form the basis of some collaboration. So how can we leverage technology for compliance? I would love to see a situation where we have a technology platform that encourages anyone with a role to self-register and to be able to be recognized in the public domain of a commitment to the tenets of corporate governance. And this may not be difficult to achieve at all. That anyone from anywhere in the world can say, I want to know those in Nigeria who have committed themselves to the standards of corporate governance. And that if you want to do business, that is your starting point. That's enough incentive, and that is at no cost. The next thing is, once you are there must be a commitment to upholding those standards. Because you know that you need to be vouched for you to continue to be on that platform. And that then presents also a requirement to file personal commitment to corporate governance standards. So we're not waiting for the end of year annual filings and returns. We're setting up a system that self-regulates, a system that encourages that the tenets of corporate governance are things people are willing to commit to, a system that is social by its very nature and attracts the credibility that anyone would want to have associated with himself or herself. This will be a credible platform where people can whistle blow for anything they consider to be an infraction against known standards of corporate governance. So we're actually throwing it open, and we're talking about how we can leverage technology for improved governance. This would not have been an issue if there are no documented or evidence impact of the consequences of continued failure of corporate governance. If anything, the impact is getting to be severely accelerated. And so we need to be concerned. And we're not just concerned, we're designing around them practical steps. But these things are not going to remain wishes. It's a mandate we need to all be committed to and make it to happen. The last bit of it I want to talk about will be leveraging technology for improved corporate governance, for support. Trust me, there are many persons who wish to be committed to the tenets and the ethics of corporate governance, but just don't know where to go. At the moment of decision making, they are faced with situations they've never experienced before, and they don't know where to go. I'm proposing that the Institute should provide a technology platform that makes it possible for anyone who requires support to take decisions by virtue of being responsible for their organizations to be able to post in there what they require, and to have distinguished persons from within the Institute who will be able to engage and provide direction. It's just like typical moments of life crisis when people don't know where to turn. When businesses do not know where to turn in issues of corporate governance, when boards themselves are confused, where do they turn? This is one thing I believe we can be committed to, leveraging technology. This could be anonymous or it could be known. And we're therefore building a body of knowledge that we can infuse into the second framework I mentioned earlier, which is empowerment. Meaning we continue to be an endless source of content generation for governance. What we're doing in essence is we're building organic content that can never be run out, and it continues to be contemporary. So there's a linkage between what we're doing. And having brought this to bear, one easy thing, if you're not going to remember anything, is the dimension of social media. And that may not be difficult as a tool of improving corporate governance. Like I said earlier, the introduction of technology itself within the spectrum of social evolution has made technology an everyday thing. So you may want to think about the younger generation and how they engage. That is the new reality of corporate governance. When we talk about respect within the African context, it is being redefined because the space of physical engagement continues to deepen. And so there are emergent values. You're thinking about the young stakeholders. You're thinking about the new customer demographics. You're thinking about the 60% of Africa's population that are below 25 years. And many of us here are holding phones and we're exposed to social media. And I'm just going to share a few things, 2 things. And then I'll draw the microphone. How do you engage with WhatsApp? How do you engage with Instagram? How do you engage on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all those social media engagements as people who stand as the custodians of corporate governance? And that's the easiest way. And if I were to ask, who are the directors in the room today who leverage the tools of social media to assess the corporate governance standards of their organizations? Do you do a social scan of compliance of corporate governance issues within your organization? And I'm going to give you an example. This is somebody who just sends, we're familiar with Twitter, right? It's now called X. And this is someone who reached out straight away to Elon Musk. And the name, they are not afraid of telling you who they are in that space. And this is Bobby Gupta. Straight to Elon Musk. So technology and social media is crashing the barriers and access that people may not ordinarily have to reach you when things are going wrong within your organizations. We're waiting to come from internal audit that reports to the board, that the board goes to the management. But technology is crashing all of that and making us be more responsible for the things that happen within our organizations and to play our roles as the gatekeepers of corporate governance. And it says, Elon Musk. In Africa, you have expected to say, excuse me, sir. He was called him by name and say, I had a terrible experience with a very pushy sales guy from Tesla's Stanford shop while shopping for Model X. Just one person with one incident in a shop of many, and is calling the owner, the founder, the MD, CEO of the organization. And that's what technology is doing in crashing that. I want to put it to you, members, fellows, distinguished fellows. You need to assume personal responsibility for leveraging technology in your space to be responsible for your role. You need a digital identity that presents you as someone who is a gatekeeper for the organizations you are responsible for, that can be easily accessed, so that it is not only when things are broken that you are brought into the picture. So it's not only karma that is bringing you out there, you need to take that responsibility a notch forward. So I'll be interested after this evening session to go to check your names, have the list of register, have the list of all the 459 fellows, and I'm going to be checking the social media to see what your identity is. In the digital space, if you are known as a gatekeeper of corporate governance, and if you're making yourself easily accessible to technology. So it's an in-house fellowship this evening that we're not talking about other people, we're talking about ourselves. And I would not have been saying this if it did not happen to me this week. And on the next slide, you'll see what happened to me this week. And if you can read that screen, somebody just goes to LinkedIn this week. Dear CEO of Remita, I hope you can see this is African. You know, this is not Elon Musk. I'm come on, I've just been given this kind of treatment. I hope this email finds you in good health. When you start like that, I'm writing to bring to your attention, bypass all the different layers. And this was what I woke up to, first working day of this week. And I'm an African who's at the forefront of keeping corporate governance. And if you go to LinkedIn, of course, you will see the details of what the president was talking about. First thing, as a gatekeeper, is to apologize. Give me a phone number and we'll get to you. You can no longer afford to add or not to be seen as the gatekeepers of corporate governance in your private space or in the public space. The easiest way to do that is leveraging the tools of technology. And the same way and the venom with which it comes is the same way it's going to be acknowledged. And the African lady comes back to tell the whole world. I would like to say a very big thank you to the rectification of issues affecting my mom's account. We so much appreciate the assistance and guidance provided by the team. Thank you very much. And that is the reward to us. So we can't step out of technology when it is used properly. Within the context of corporate governance, it will pay the dividends that is expected. In conclusion, to remain relevant as directors, we must ensure transparency to all stakeholders. We must embrace technology for effective governance, which is the role to which we are committed as individual members and as an institute. We must ensure sustainability in our structure and in our operations. Let me congratulate all the fellows, to the new fellows. As we congratulate you, I leave you with this. If we don't know anyone else, we know the 41 of you. We'll continue to hold you responsible for improving corporate governance in Nigeria, leveraging technology and other means. Thank you very much.
At this point, I don't even know how to respond. He said he's going to check the social media of all fellows. He will check the identity. I don't understand. But there's something he spoke about, which is to monetize. I will be speaking with him later. they can monetize the master of ceremonies. When he was talking about Elon Musk, I was just wondering that
if it was to be in Nigeria, it is the PA of Elon Musk PA that will read that message. You can't bypass. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause for Mr. Jeremy Atonda for that amazing outing. And my takeaway on the levers of improved governance, awareness, empowerment, compliance, and support. I'd like to recognize in our midst another past president of this institute, a distinguished fellow, Mr. Femi Ekundayo. Also present is a man whose birthday happens to be today. He's the Director General and CEO of the Chartered Institute of Directors, MIOD, Mr. Dele Alimi, MIOD, I beg your pardon. On behalf of all here present, I wish you a happy birthday. And there's no better way to spend your birthday than here. Am I right or am I right? I would also like to announce that on page 12 of this program, we're told that there is the 2023 Annual Directors Conference taking place in Abuja, and that will be in November. Please check page 12 of the program and you'd get more information. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for me to invite the first Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Mr. Adetuji Oyebanji, FIOD, to administer the oath on the new spanking brand new fellows of the Chartered Institute of Directors. I do think the first Vice President deserves a better round of applause, please.
Thank you. If you hadn't gotten my name right this time around, I would have escorted you out of the premises. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me rest on existing protocols. We are now coming to a very key aspect of the event this evening. And I'd like to let you know that this event stands between us and dinner. So the way we do it and how fast we do it will determine how fast we can get to dinner. So at this juncture, may I request all the new fellows to please open the brochure in their hand to page 57 of the brochure. If we are all there now, can I please crave your indulgence to ask all of you please to stand, be upstanding, all the new fellows. Okay, now please, the way we will do this is In the blank space, you will mention your name, and then you will repeat after me. I will not be rushing. I will take it very slow. This is deliberate because this is a very critical aspect, and we need to reflect on it as we go through it. So if we are all ready, can I ask the people serving to hold on a minute so as not to distract? Those serving, please hold on a minute. Thank you. So let us go. I hereby affirm and pledge that I am a fit and proper person to enter into the office of a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria, and will faithfully execute the office of a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria. I shall strive always for the highest ethical standards, professionalism, and good corporate governance in business and private endeavors. I have received a copy of the CIoD Code of Ethics for members of the Institute. I have read and I understand its contents and agree to adhere to the principles and policies outlined in the code. I have also read and I understand the CIoD conflict of interest policy and its contents. I agree to comply with its provisions and recuse myself from deliberations and voting on contracts, transactions, activities or arrangements, and acts whatsoever that could give rise to a conflict of interest. I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the rules, regulations, and policy directions of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria. So help me God. Congratulations and welcome on board. Now that you are freshly minted fellows, can you please, ladies and gentlemen, one minute, can you please fill out the space underneath with your name, signature, and date, and you will submit this to members of staff later in the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. First Vice President, CIoD Nigeria, Mr. Adetuji Oyebanji, FIOD. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, dinner is served. It's an opportunity to have dinner, network, and by the time we come back, we'll be taking the roll call of new fellows. Thank you. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the highlight of today's event. I was telling the new fellows that were taking photographs that they were jumping the gun because we have not given them the certificate yet. So if we decide to take the certificate back home, they have just taken the photographs in vain. But we're not going to do that, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, because it's really a wonderful night. And I have been opportune to fix this event on the day that is my birthday, so that the Institute can celebrate my birthday for me, one way or the other. And that has happened. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for, I thank you for attending the Fellows Investiture program. It's my honor to invite to the podium the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute of Directors, Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani Borodo, LLM FIOD. Mr. President, kindly step up. I also want to invite the Chairman of the Fellows and Awards Committee of the Institute, distinguished past President, Architect Thomas Awagu, distinguished Fellow of the Institute. I also want to invite the President's two vices, the first Vice President and the second Vice President, Mr. Adetunji Ibanji and Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, respectively. It will also be an honor and privilege to invite to this podium the immediate past President, Dr. Mrs. E.J. Jidema, Distinguished Fellow of the Institute, and our two past presidents that are here, Mr. Femi Ekudayo, Distinguished Fellow of the Institute, and of course Chief Chris Okunowo, Distinguished Fellow of the Institute. Kindly join the President to present the plaque and certificate to the new fellows. This way, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm going to be killing two birds with one stone. I will call the names of those that are physically present here before going to those that are attending this event virtually, and in no mean order. I want to implore the new fellows, once you are coming in, please come with the attestation page, drop it with our staff on that will be your right side of the hall, and then climb the stage, collect the plaque and the certificate from the President, and then you can move on. It's my pleasure to start the roll call by inviting to the podium Babatunde Ladele. Babatunde Ladele. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies, Your Highness. The policies that we just write the name, the titles are not added. No, this way, sir. This way, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, okay. I got it now. I understand. This way, sir. Yeah, I understand. We should move to the same time. Let's uncover the yes. Aha.
Distinguished new fellows, please, I will have to change the arrangement. Please come in through the left and then exit through the right. Kindly note, come in through the left. There will be somebody waiting there to collect the form from you, and then you come up through here. No, Samuel Odrojaye. Samuel Odrojaye. A round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. Isiaka O Kolawole, FIOD. Okay. Please, ladies and gentlemen, when you are coming, bring the form with you so that you can submit it to the staff here. It needs to go into your file in the institute, please. Gregory Ogbefu. Gregory Ogbefu. Matthew Edevie. Matthew Edevie. Wahid Abiodun Olagunju. Wahid Abiodun Olagunju. Raymond Ochei. Raymond Ochei. Please, let's endeavor to applaud our new fellows. Kindly give him a round of applause. Olabode A. Mustafa. A round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. Franklin Peterside. Adebisi Adeyemi. Doris Ochei. I will advise them. It doesn't follow. Ibrahim Mohammed Jege. Garuba Umar. Garuba Umar. Yusuf Abubakar. Yes. Yusuf Amisu Abubakar. Adedeji Awobotu. Adedeji Awobotu. Charles Chukwuma Oyenekwe. Charles Chukwuma Oyenekwe. Charles Oyenekwe. Ebun Olu Adeniyi. Ebun Olu Adeniyi. Oladele Akiyemi. Oladele Akiyemi. Yusuf Ageni. Bolanle Oyeledun. Oluseyi Osunkeye. Francis Olawale. Onene Obele Oshoko. Dunama Balami. Thank you. Peter Obabori. Peter Obabori. Peter Iguasa. Peter Iguasa. Salute to see you again, sir. Yes. Ononoju Yoroku. Charles Chukwuma Oyenekwe. Charles Oyenekwe. Well, it's not here. Mr. President, distinguished past presidents, distinguished office holders, the next people to be conferred are those people who are attending virtually. I want to implore the IT guys to please put them on the screen. Please put the virtual attendees on the screen. If you can hear me. Can you put the virtual attendees on the screen, please? Thank you. Mr. President, the virtual attendees are as follows. Mr. Azar Usman. Can you please unmute so that they can? I hope you can hear them. Can you please unmute everyone? Mr. Azar Usman. If you can hear us, can you just either raise your hand? Mr. Esijolomi Riwane. Esijolomi Riwane. Thomas Oshogu. Precious Sekibo. Garuba Aruna and Ezenochie. They are all virtually present. We can see them on the screen, Mr. President. So I want to thank you very much, sir. That is the 41 fellows we have tonight. You can go back to your seat, distinguished past president, Madam President, Mr. President. You can go back to your seat. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you have just witnessed is the conferment of fellows by the President and Chairman Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria. It is now time to get a response on behalf of the newly minted fellows. I'd like to invite Dr. Peter Obabori to step forward and respond on behalf of other newly minted fellows. Can I get a round of applause for him as he steps up to the lectern? He has been nominated to respond on behalf of the fellows, and I have no doubt whatsoever, looking very dapper, that he will do justice. Thank you very much.
The President and Chairman of Council, the guest speaker of today, members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Without any doubt, tonight has been a night of honor and dignity, and I'm particularly excited to be representing my other awardees of tonight to show our deepest of appreciation for the honor that you have done to us here tonight. Quite a number of our colleagues, some of my friends from way back, are also inductees tonight, and I'm glad to see many of you again. Without any doubt, CIoD stands for excellence, stands for integrity, probity, and we've learned quite a lot from you over the years. Some of the men on the high table have been our teachers for many years in various quarters. Madam Amina Yagola, someone we've known for many years in the industry, Architect Awagu, who has been our president and chairman of council at the MPCC at some point in time, and several other dignitaries who are also here tonight. I'm particularly excited to be seeing you all, and we want to make our promise that we'll continue to do our best in the industry as we strive for the best and excellence. And for everyone who has joined us tonight to celebrate, we want to thank you very much for being here. We look forward to seeing you again when we have something big again to celebrate. Thank you, Sas and Ma, and God bless you. Have a safe journey home as you go. Thank you. We're very grateful.
Thank you. It's very obvious why you were nominated and you didn't disappoint. I'd like to move on very swiftly and respectfully invite the President and Chairman, Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria, Alhaji Tijani M. Barodot, LLM FIOD, to please help us in presenting a special plaque to our guest speaker of today, who did justice to the topic he spoke on. So I'd like to invite you, sir, to please help us do the honors as I invite the guest speaker to also step forward and receive a token of our appreciation at the Chartered Institute of Directors for opening our eyes and ensuring that this lecture he gave us actually gave us a lot of food, but food for thought. And of course, the guest speaker is being accompanied by his darling and amiable wife, who will support him in receiving this plaque. We thank him for the address, the lecture, which was very, very, very insightful, as I hand over to Mr. President, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we started virtually here with speeches, but we've learned so much from the guest lecturer. And he has challenged us as a Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria. The ball is in our own court. I assure you, we've taken the bet. We'll do what we needed to do. We thank you most sincerely, Mr. Jeremy Atonda, for this delivery of excellence. We appreciate, and we hope next time we invite prepare the paper and then being here with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Who's taking the second?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy Atonda. As I invite the Director General, CEO of CIoD Nigeria, to please remain behind to give the vote of thanks, Mr. Dele Alimi, MIOD. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very long evening. Not too long because everything has remained very exciting. And I'm happy that we have a little bit more time so that we can dance a little before we go. This is a very joyous event. Let me start first by thanking our partners and sponsors who made this event possible. And I'll start by our platinum sponsor, an organization that is dedicated to sponsor two organizations that have decided this year to be part of all our events in 2023 as the platinum sponsor of the Institute. The first, the Central Bank of Nigeria. Second, the Boer Group. Can I have a round of applause for this organization, please, ladies and gentlemen? These organizations have committed to supporting the Institute throughout 2020. We thank them very much. I also want to thank all our other sponsors, and I want to thank EasyPay. I will thank Leventis Group, FBS Reinsurance, Stars Shipping Line, Intercontinental Distilleries, CIHP, and the Universal Basic Education Authority. I want to thank you very much for supporting this program. Can you please give a round of applause to our sponsors? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will then move on to the committee that made this possible. That is the Fellows and Award Committee of the Institute, led by our indefatigable past president, Architect Thomas Awago, the Secretary of the Institute. Thank you very much, sir, and members of the committee for the wonderful work that led to this program. I would like to thank our distinguished past presidents who are here. I'll start with Mr. Femi Akundayo, distinguished fellow. Thank you very much for coming, sir. I think he's left now, but I know Mr. Chike was also here, a distinguished past president of the Institute. I thank Chief Chris Obuno, distinguished fellow. Thank you very much. And of course, the immediate past president of the Institute, Dr. Mrs. E.J. Jidema, distinguished fellow of the Institute. Thank you very much for coming, ma. I would like to thank the office bearers who are here today. The first vice president, Mr. Tuji Oyebanji, fellow of the Institute. The second vice president, Mrs. Amina Oyakbola, fellow of the Institute. The legal advisor of the Institute, Dr. Adeyinka Azan, fellow of the Institute. Thank you very much for coming. Of great importance is this appreciation to Speaker, Mr. Aderemi Atonda. What he has done today is to start, I don't know whether to call it a little flame or a little fire, because sitting down here, I was like in a lecture room and I was taking notes. I always knew we can do better with technology, but what he has done today is to dissect what we can do. And I have told him that we have done part 1 of the lecture. I'm going to come to his office and we're going to do the second part of that lecture, because we need to really do something about what he said. I think technology is just the way to go. I thank you very much. And of course, I thank Madam. We got 2 for the price of 1. So thank you very much, Madam, for coming. We thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Atonda. Thank you very much for coming. I also want to thank our council members who graced this occasion today. I saw, okay, Mr. UK, fellow of the Institute, is here. Thank you very much. Mr. Bimbo Olashore was there, but I think he's left. And of course, all the way from Abuja, I want to thank Alhaji Lamis Diko. Thank you very much for coming, sir. I hope I've not left anybody out. And I now want to thank the new fellows. When out of a class of 4,000, you select only 40, and you are one of the 40 that had made it, it's a big deal. I congratulate you, and I thank you for also making this event. I thank you very much. I want to thank the secretariat, my colleagues in the secretariat, for the hard job that has gone into making this happen. Well done, everybody, the membership department, and for all the programs department, the communications department, all of you. I can't be mentioning you one by one. Thank you very much. And of course, the band. They took us down memory lane at a point. If I had not known that Tinatona was dead, when I was hearing the voice, I thought Tinatona was in the room. I had to turn my head to realize that it's another beautiful lady that was singing. I want to thank them very much. I want to thank our compare, Mr. Kishemowo. Thank you very much. I have paid the balance in kind by thanking you. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the caterer. The review I got that the food was very good. I want to thank the caterer. I want to thank everybody. And thank you for coming for my birthday. Thank you for coming for the fellows investiture of the Institute. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.